In the ancient realm where gods intertwined with the world of men, Zeus, the king of the gods, roamed a celestial throne above the earth. His heart yearned for new wonders, and in the Titaness Leto, he found an unexpected enchantment. Leto, known for her gentle grace and quiet strength, became the focus of Zeus's affections. Their union was akin to the merging of cosmic energies, ensconced in the annals of the divine. This sacred bond whispered promises of progeny that could bridge the ethereal with the mortal world, marking the dawn of an extraordinary chapter in mythological lore. However, beneath Olympus's towering skies, Hera, Zeus's wife and goddess of marriage, observed these divine conversations with a heart heavy with jealousy. Her wrath was known to temper the very winds that swept the heavens. In her jealousy, she inflicted a curse upon Leto, declaring that no land would receive her during childbirth. Thus, Leto endured the earth's trials, forced to wander the vastness of Greece in search of refuge for her unborn children, Apollo and Artemis. Her journey was long and fraught with despair, each step marked by the sting of rejection from the lands she sought shelter in. Yet, the ember of hope within her persisted amidst divine defiance. As Leto traversed the earth, a floating island by the name of Delos recognized her perseverance and, moved by compassion, offered its sanctuary. Delos was a land unanchored, drifting gently upon the Aegean Sea's flowing currents, and therefore not beholden to Hera's curse. The island's heart opened to Leto, wishing to cradle her in her most vulnerable moments. This act of kindness turned Delos from a simple island into a place of peace and sanctuary, rising in welcome against the azure backdrop of endless skies. Hera's gaze had momentarily shifted away, allowing the forces of fate to intervene. The once floating island of Delos, guided by unseen divine hands, settled into a firm, stable landmass. This transformation infused the island with a sense of permanence, a sacred grounding where the ephemeral met the eternal. With this divine intervention, Delos became a haven not just for Leto, but for the story that would soon unfold, a story woven with threads of prophecy, artistry, and illumination that Apollo would one day embody. Upon this freshly anchored sanctuary, Leto rested, finding solace in the gentle whispers of soft waves and the warm embrace of dawn that greeted her weary soul. In this tranquil space, the air seemed to hum with anticipation, vibrating with the harmonies of what was to come. At the opportune moment, cradled by the embrace of divine and earthly elements alike, Leto gave birth to Apollo amid unparalleled serenity and harmony. As the first light of morning broke across the horizon, the island was suffused with an aura of divine tranquility, a testament to the newborn god's radiant potential. The birth of Apollo was not just the emergence of another deity, but a blessing upon Delos, transforming it into a consecrated site for future worship. The stone and quiet earth received the blessings of divinity, and it was said that the very rocks resonated with Apollo's promise, echoing with a music that only the divine ears of gods and souls attuned to beauty could hear. With the presence of Apollo, Delos knew itself anew, a domain where the celestial and terrestrial converged, a beacon that foreshadowed the gifts of prophecy, music, and healing that Apollo would one day bestow upon the world. Thus the stage was set, a serene prelude to the unfolding of divine destinies interwoven across lines of prophecy and song. Through Leto's perseverance and the compassionate embrace of Delos, the winds of fate whispered of future revelations and insights. The island's transformation symbolized the quiet yet profound shift that heralded the arrival of Apollo, a deity destined to illuminate both the divine and mortal realms. And so, amidst the peaceful tones of dawn, the first chapter of this celestial tale began. The dawn on the island of Delos was marked by a gentle mist that wrapped the sacred grove in a veil of mystery. Leto, although weary from the laborious birth of Apollo, sensed within herself the imminent arrival of another divine child. The serene island, having just become Apollo's birthplace, was now tasked with welcoming his twin sister, Artemis. In the cool embrace of the morning, Leto gathered her strength, her mind focused on the sanctity of this new beginning. Responding to an unseen call, the local nymphs of Delos gathered in the grove to offer Leto their assistance. These ethereal beings, guided by divine influence, moved gracefully, their presence a testament to the divine nature of this event. The nymphs, draped in fabrics as soft and fluid as the streams they guarded, formed a protective circle around Leto. They brought with them offerings of flowers, whose subtle fragrances filled the air, marking the grove as a sacred sanctuary for the imminent arrival. Yet, not all forces were aligned in peaceful anticipation. From afar, Hera's jealousy continued to cast a shadow, her relentless envy a testament to the challenges that often accompany divine births. Minor impediments rose, unnatural breezes that sought to disturb the serene atmosphere. But the determination of Zeus, king of the gods, ensured these disruptions remained trivial. As a testament to his power, Zeus orchestrated the safe passage of celestial beings to fortify the grove against Hera's attempts. With all elements aligned, the moment of Artemis's birth arrived. She emerged swiftly, embodying the essence of wilderness and independence that would come to define her. As the first light of the sun pierced through the mist, Artemis took her first glimpse of the world, her presence immediately imbuing Delos with an even greater sense of divinity. Her birth was a spectacle under a canopy of divine light, the surrounding nymphs witnessing the birth with eyes full of reverence and joy. As the gods watched from their celestial abodes, the island of Delos found itself once more blessed, its status as a sacred site further solidified. The birth of Artemis, closely following that of Apollo, marked Delos as a land touched by the highest forms of divinity. Nature seemed to sing in a silent celebration. Streams whispered along their beds with newfound vigor, and flowers opened their petals to greet the newfound light. This day would be remembered as one of profound blessing and transformation. Artemis, although newly born, showed an insight that belied her infancy. Gazing upon her brother, she silently vowed to protect him, revealing the protective nature that would become one of her defining traits. It was a promise made without words, rooted in the shared bond of the twins, a bond that would weave through time and myth, strengthening their divine narrative. Thus, the birth of the divine twins was joyously celebrated among the gods. The celestial family hailed this new emergence of balance and harmony, a testament to the intricate workings of divine destiny. In Artemis and Apollo, they saw the seeds of a new era, one where light and wisdom would spread across the realms of gods and mortals alike. The significance of their twin births resonated through the heavens, a melody of divine harmony that echoed Apollo's prophetic future and Artemis' untamed spirit. With Artemis safely nestled by her brother's side, the divine cycle of balance, an echo of truth and beauty, was complete. As the golden glow of dawn gave way to daylight, the atmosphere in Delos carried a harmonious and celebratory tone. It was the harmony of creation, of beginnings, steeped in significance and promise. This arrival of Artemis, alongside Apollo, set the stage for their magnificent pursuits, a story told through music, healing, and insightful prophecy. And so, under the watchful eyes of the divine, and amidst the grove touched by the sweet breath of spring, the narrative of these twins unfolded. Their tale was only just beginning, a united path that would lead to greatness, each step taken hand in hand, guided by the sacred light of Delos. As the gentle twilight settled over the island of Delos, a young Apollo wandered through the green glade, a place resonating with calm and beauty. He was the picture of curiosity and promise, eager to explore the vast potentials of his divine heritage. His half-brother Hermes had recently crafted a wondrous lyre, an instrument made from the shell of a tortoise, strung with magical sinews. Guided by an innate instinct, Apollo's fingers found their way to this new treasure, and as he began to strum, the first divine melody softly rose into the peaceful evening air. The strings of the lyre, touched by Apollo's gifted hands, produced a harmony so profound that it seemed to echo the very heartbeat of the world. Each note resonated through the island, awakening the innate harmony within the surroundings. The melody wove through the trees and across the grass, inviting the natural world into a dance of pure bliss. As if summoned by a gentle, unseen force, creatures of the wild began to gather around him. Rabbits nestled closer, birds perched quietly on nearby branches, and even the leaves seemed to dance to his enchanting tune, showcasing a connection between nature and the divine music. The sweet strains of Apollo's lyre reached far beyond the mortal realm, captivating the divine ears of the muses. These goddesses of artistic inspiration heard the call and felt their spirits lifted by the young god's promise. They appeared, whispering encouragements to Apollo, inspiring him to explore further the artistic realms of which he was now on the cusp. They saw in him the embodiment of artistic creation, an entity capable of elevating the mortal understanding of beauty and truth through art. Leto, Apollo's mother, watched with pride from the edge of the glade. She had cared for him since his birth on this sacred island, and now she witnessed her son's first steps toward artistic enlightenment with joy. The melodies he played filled her heart with hope and certainty that Apollo, with his divine origins, was destined to bring light and harmony to those who dwelled in the shadows of uncertainty. Leto felt the warmth of the sun within each note, affirming her belief in his future significance. Joining the celebration of sound, Artemis, Apollo's twin sister, stepped into the clearing and began to dance with rhythmic grace. Her movements added an ethereal dimension to Apollo's music, creating a living tapestry of art and movement. Together, they transformed the simple glade into a stage for divine artistry, a performance watched intently by creatures and gods alike. Artemis's dance was a testament to her protective promise. She played the dual role of sister and guardian as she encircled Apollo, her movements weaving around his music in a protective, loving embrace. The gods, ever watchful of their offspring, bestowed unseen blessings upon Apollo's burgeoning talent. Each melody seemed more profound than the last, and the air around him shimmered with the promise of his future. The glade became a sanctuary of divine possibility, where every note and step wove a narrative of potentiality. This was just the beginning, but already it was clear that Apollo's gifts went well beyond simple entertainment. They held the seeds of healing, insight, and divine purpose. As the final notes of Apollo's first song drifted into the twilight, the world seemed a little brighter, a little more connected, and infinitely more hopeful. His music was not merely sound. It was a bridge between the mortal and divine realms, a promise of the unity he would bring through his creative powers. With the encouraging whispers of the muses and the joyful presence of his family, Apollo felt the beginnings of his journey into artistic enlightenment unfold with clear purpose. His first song had been a revelation, each note a step toward understanding, every chord a reach toward the divine. There beneath the waning sky, Apollo embraced his role as a creator and a beacon of art, setting in motion the legacy of a god yet to be fully realized. From a young age, Apollo was no stranger to the stirrings of divine purpose, but now, a new sense of destiny began to unfurl within him. It was as if the very essence of prophecy was whispering through his veins, awakening a call he could not ignore. This calling was unlike anything he had felt before, urging him toward realms of future visions and profound insight. Underneath the gentle canopy of Delos, Apollo pondered his growing awareness with both intrigue and a touch of trepidation. What far-reaching responsibilities lay ahead for him in this path of clairvoyance? Not long after this internal awakening, Zeus, the mighty king of the gods and Apollo's father, recognized the burgeoning potential in his son. In a moment of benevolent foresight, Zeus sent forth divine scrolls, each laced with knowledge of the past, present, and future. These scrolls served as an introduction to the divine responsibilities awaiting Apollo. They arrived on the wings of the divine winds, unfurling before Apollo as he sat under a familiar olive tree. Each symbol and glyph glowed softly, lighting up with a wisdom that was both ancient and ever new, hinting at roles he would soon embrace. As Apollo studied these scrolls, visions began to sweep over him, unbidden and profound. Flickers of future events danced before his eyes, vivid and ethereal, painting scenes only he could perceive. In these visions, he saw lands in turmoil, sea voyages propelled by aspirations, and faces he did not yet know. They were both a wonder to behold and a burden to bear, for insight into what could be was a weighty gift. These glimpses into the future posed questions, challenging Apollo to seek mastery over this newfound power. Night after night, as Apollo closed his eyes, dreams of Delphi, a mystical and hallowed place, wove through his sleep. The Oracle of Delphi, known far and wide as a seat of divine prophecy, called to him with visions as alluring as they were mysterious. The call was undeniable, echoing in his consciousness until it became a part of him. It was clear that his path would lead him to Delphi, to the heart of prophecy itself. Upon deciding to embark on this journey, Apollo started his trek toward Delphi, guided by an inner compass that led him over mountains and through sacred paths cloaked in a timeless aura. The journey itself was part of his awakening, a pilgrimage requiring resilience and reflection, each step drawing him closer to understanding his divine purpose. As he neared the sacred site, Apollo felt the transformative power of the place even before he saw it. Finally, Apollo arrived at Delphi, where the ancient and revered Pythia awaited him. The Pythia, the high priestess of the temple, recognized Apollo's arrival not as chance but destiny. She welcomed him with a knowing nod, acknowledging the purpose that bound them. "You, Apollo, are destined," were the words left unsaid yet reverberating clearly in the sacred silence between them. A profound transformation swept through Apollo's aura, a melding of celestial knowledge with earthly wisdom, as he accepted his role as a guiding oracle. With his prophetic powers fully embraced, Apollo's presence shimmered with a renewed sense of purpose. The transference of knowledge and power felt absolute, and his journey of understanding was firmly in motion. Having drawn wisdom from the very stones of Delphi and experienced the enduring magic of prophecy, Apollo set his course back to Delos. The journey back was one of reflection, as he carried with him not only newfound insights, but a readiness to share his vision with those he held dear. Upon his return to Delos, Apollo found Leto and Artemis waiting with expectant warmth. He recounted to them the revelations of his journey, the scrolls from Zeus, the visions both wondrous and daunting, and the majestic presence of Delphi. For Leto and Artemis, hearing his experiences was like glimpsing a world beyond their own, embracing his growth with a mother's pride and a sister's admiration. Apollo's story was woven into Delos' sacred atmosphere, enriching it with the promise of divinely inspired wisdom. The island, already blessed, seemed to glow a little brighter in response to his prophecy. Guided by his steady voice, Apollo shared his hope for the future, eager to blend his prophetic gifts into the tapestry of his divine purpose. With prophecy embraced, Apollo began to sense a new calling on the horizon, a healing light that would inspire hope and renewal. On the tranquil island of Delos, Apollo found himself increasingly drawn to the suffering of mortals. As the god of prophecy, He had glimpsed visions of illness and strife among humans, compelling him to act with a compassionate heart. His previous mastery of prophecy only deepened his desire to alleviate the more tangible pains of the world. His soul became a beacon of light, ready to illuminate the shadowed paths of human affliction. Recognizing Apollo's distress, his gentle mother, Leto, approached him with wisdom inherited from the ancient lineage of Titans. She shared with him chants of healing, ancient melodies whispered by nature since time immemorial. These chants, filled with curative power, resonated within Apollo, activating a latent healing energy. The harmonious notes spoke of balance and renewal, guiding him in his pursuit of bringing health and hope to the world. Apollo immersed himself in divine meditation and communion with the natural elements of Delos. In the quietude of sacred groves, he listened to the rustling leaves and the whispers of the winds. The island, with its serene and divine aura, became his sanctuary for learning the subtle arts of healing. Through this deep relationship with nature, Apollo discovered the interconnectedness of all beings and the restorative power that lay within them. His newfound understanding prompted Apollo to establish the first healing temple upon Delos. This temple, a place of serene tranquility, became an oasis for those seeking relief from their ailments. From far and wide, souls weary from the travails of life journeyed to Delos, hopeful for the touch of divine healing. The temple stood as a beacon of hope, its marble halls bathed in golden light, inviting all who yearned for solace and recovery. Within the temple's sacred walls, Apollo's touch became legendary. With remarkable tenderness, he laid his hands upon those consumed by sickness, his divine warmth erasing the scars of disease. Stories of miraculous recoveries spread quickly, as mortals spoke in reverent tones of the god who cured the incurable. Under Apollo's gentle guidance, Delos blossomed into a sanctuary where suffering found reprieve and life was cherished anew. Artemis, inspired by her brother's profound empathy and the temple's charged atmosphere, joined him in his healing mission. She used her skills as a huntress to gather rare herbs essential for Apollo's remedies. Together, the divine siblings created potions and salves, blending Artemis's knowledge of the natural world with Apollo's intuitive healing. This sibling collaboration enhanced the temple's influence, creating a powerful synergy that further defined Delos as a place of sacred wellness. The mortals of Greece, witnessing the transformational power of the healing temple, began to view Delos as a true haven of health and hope. Pilgrims embarked on journeys across treacherous terrains to experience the sanctuary's healing light. Their tales of renewal and rejuvenation reached distant lands, spreading the legend of Apollo's benevolence. The island, blessed by divine presence, became a touchstone for those seeking enlightenment and peace amid their mortal trials. As Apollo's reputation as a healer grew, so did his understanding of the responsibility he carried as a divine being. He realized that just as his music and prophecy brought clarity and direction to the lives of mortals, so too did his healing touch offer a new avenue of enlightenment. Each act of healing was a ripple in the fabric of existence, reinforcing the harmonious balance between the divine and mortal realms. Reflecting on his journey, Apollo felt a gentle stirring of purpose, knowing that this path of healing prepared him for challenges beyond the serene shores of Delos. Through his newfound enlightenment, he envisioned a world where divine grace could intertwine seamlessly with human endeavor, guiding all toward a future resplendent with hope. As the summer sun cast its golden light over the healing temple, Apollo's heart warmed with certainty of the healing journey that lay ahead. Apollo stood on a high cliff overlooking Thessaly, the distant horizon painted in shades of stormy gray and fiery red, hinting at the challenges ahead. It was here that a new oracle had risen, her presence acknowledged by omens of discord and chaos. This oracle, with an unwavering belief in her own truth, had managed to sway the mortal world, posing a challenge to Apollo's supremacy over prophecy. Mortals, easily swayed by new revelations, found themselves caught in a web of fear and divine misinterpretations. The once serene order was beginning to shake, demanding Apollo's intervention. As Apollo contemplated the horizon, a sense of growing concern enveloped him. He had seen visions of mortals, misled by fear, their faith in the divine wavering. Apollo understood the delicate balance required to maintain peace between gods and mortals. This new wave of uncertainty among mortals whispered fears of impending chaos, and it was clear that the foundations of trust needed fortification. The tranquility he had worked so hard to foster on Delos seemed threatened by the shifting perceptions of those who no longer embraced the light of his guidance. Sensing the gravity of the situation, Zeus, in his infinite wisdom, sent a messenger to Apollo. This divine envoy brought a simple yet poignant message. Balance must be maintained. The wisdom of Zeus was implicit, suggesting that Apollo take decisive steps to address this challenge. The balance between celestial guidance and mortal understanding needed restoration. Apollo needed to navigate these waters with care, ensuring that enlightenment prevailed over confusion. He understood that his role was not just to guide but to ensure that truth and harmony reigned across the realms. Returning to the serenity of Delos, Apollo sought the counsel of Leto and Artemis. In the healing temple, amidst the scent of herbs and the warmth of their family bond, they discussed the ominous omens and the rise of the Thessalian oracle. Leto, with maternal wisdom, reminded Apollo of his gifts and the importance of staying true to his divine purpose. Artemis, protective as always, pledged her support, suggesting that they approach the challenge with a calm resolve. Together, they formulated a plan that would restore clarity and reinforce Apollo's rightful place among the divine. With determination, Apollo made his way to Thessaly, where the newfound oracle had sown seeds of disruption. Instead of confrontation, Apollo approached the oracle with serenity, his presence a beacon of calm amidst the gathering storm. He listened to her predictions, carefully discerning the truth hidden within. As he spoke, his voice carried the weight of divine wisdom. Apollo enlightened the aspiring oracle, emphasizing the importance of truth and the dangers of misleading those who depended on prophecy for guidance. Through gentle persuasion, he unveiled the errors in her interpretations, not by declaring his superiority, but by guiding her to see the truth herself. The oracle, once caught in her ambition, felt the tranquility of Apollo's words seep into her soul. She acknowledged his guidance and recognized the harmony that truth and divine insight could bring. This acceptance marked a pivotal moment, as she joined forces with Apollo to convey messages that aligned with the celestial order. Her acknowledgement of Apollo's wisdom not only resolved the prevailing discord but also fortified the trust among mortals. As harmony slowly restored itself, mortals across Thessaly and beyond found their faith renewed. With Apollo's guidance, prophetic manifestations increased, bringing forth clarity and strengthening bonds between the divine and the mortal realms. The fear that had previously engulfed the people dissipated, replaced by a renewed sense of wonder at the divine gifts bestowed upon them. Through this experience, Apollo grasped the importance of balance in the realm of prophecy. His resolve had not only reinvigorated his role among the gods, but had also illuminated the path for future endeavors. His encounter with the oracle was a testament to the enduring power of truth and wisdom, laying the groundwork for Apollo's continued journey in understanding divine creation. As dusk fell, painting the skies with hues of violet and dusk red, Apollo stood once more on the cliff, looking out over Thessaly. The storm clouds had rolled away, leaving a calm behind, a testament to the clarity and peace he had restored. His heart swelled with the anticipation of new challenges, knowing full well that the lessons learned here were but a part of the greater tapestry of his divine mission. The horizon stretched infinitely before him, a canvas for the stories yet to unfold. After successfully harmonizing relations with the Thessalian oracle, Apollo turned his gaze back toward the serene shores of Delos. Here, amidst the gentle whispers of the sea and the tranquil rustle of olive leaves, Apollo sought to further the divine art of creation. Driven by the desire to cultivate a culture steeped in artistic expression and deep introspection, he envisioned Delos as a beacon of cultural enlightenment. To breathe life into this vision, Apollo sponsored spirited contests among emerging poets and musicians. Artists from every corner of the island gathered, eagerly anticipating the opportunity to showcase their creative talents. They arrived hearts brimming with enthusiasm, their souls aflame with the divine inspiration that Apollo radiated. These competitions, much more than mere gatherings of aspiring artists, became sacred rites where mortals engaged with divine mysteries through the medium of art. The news of these contests reverberated beyond Delos, reaching Mount Helicon, where the Muses resided. Intrigued, they descended to Delos, bringing with them a celestial spark that ignited the passions of all present. The presence of these ethereal muses, embodiments of artistic insight and divine creativity, elevated the occasion to celestial heights. Encouraged by their watchful gazes, participants poured their experiences and interpretations of both mortal and divine existence into their art. Apollo, the patron and overseer of these contests, saw to the construction of an amphitheater devoted entirely to artistic pursuits. With its impressive columns and open stage, the amphitheater became a temple to creativity. It was here, in this sacred space under twilight skies, that the participants showcased their works. As the gentle hues of violet and soft peach painted the horizon, artists filled the stage, their music and poetry, a harmonious symphony resonating through Delos. The evening reached its pinnacle with a grand concert, led by Apollo himself. The god, seated with graceful ease, took up his golden lyre, an instrument bestowed upon him by Hermes. His fingers danced across its strings, coaxing melodies of transcendent beauty that spoke directly to the heart. It was a performance that stitched the individual artistic expressions into a fabric of unity and joy, weaving mortals and gods into a singular audience united by art. Under Apollo's guidance, Delos flourished as a center of artistic excellence, where art and music were vital components of spiritual life. The island came alive with the vibrant energy of continual discovery and expression. Each performance a revelation, each poem a glimpse into the soul. Art became a cherished vessel through which mortals explored the depths of emotion and faith, each creation an homage to both human and divine craftsmanship. The culmination of Apollo's endeavors turned Delos into a wellspring of cultural enlightenment. Artists, travelers, and seekers of beauty from across Greece flocked to its sacred shores, eager to witness and participate in the flourishing artistic community. Delos stood as a testament to the harmonious balance of art and divinity, a living beacon of light that guided the hearts of those who sought to know themselves and their gods more deeply. As the twilight deepened, the amphitheater basked in the glow of soft starlight. Apollo, satisfied and serene, looked upon the gathering with quiet pride. His heart swelled with the knowledge that this culture of creativity and enlightenment would extend far beyond the island's borders. The seeds planted here would grow and spread, touching lands and hearts unknown, just as he had intended. One by one, artists and listeners departed the amphitheater, their minds alight with inspiration and new resolve. The echoes of the evening's melodies lingered in the night air, a faint reminder of the divine communion that had just transpired. In the silence that followed, Apollo knew that Delos would continue to flourish as the epicenter of art and innovation, ensuring that his divine light of creativity and unity would forever shine. Brightly immortal world. Apollo's achievements on Delos were much more than a celebration of artistic triumph. They marked the beginning of a larger journey to spread wisdom and enlightenment across all lands. The next chapter in Apollo's tale awaited, and with it, the promise of new horizons to explore and illuminate. Apollo stood on the gentle shores of Delos, feeling the warmth of the sun embrace him. His heart was a vessel overflowing with the harmonies created during the grand concert that united poets and musicians. Yet, he felt an irresistible pull to share this enlightenment with lands beyond the island. With his purpose burning brightly within him, Apollo set forth on a journey that would lead him across the vast and storied landscapes of Greece. His initial path led him from Delos to various sacred temples scattered across the mainland. Each destination welcomed Apollo's arrival with reverence. At every temple, he shared the gifts bestowed upon him by the Muses, the melodies of the lyre and the truths he foresaw with his prophetic sight. His presence was healing, his words inspiring. In these sacred spaces, mortals found hope and guidance, as though they were basking in the sun's nourishing light. In the towns Apollo visited, he radiated knowledge and compassion. As he arrived in each place, gatherings would form, driven by the desire to hear his divine insights. He taught them how music could heal the soul, how prophecy could guide their paths, and how the gentle touch of healing could mend wounds, not just of the body, but of the spirit. Each lesson Apollo imparted was a seed, planted in the hearts of those eager to embrace this newfound wisdom. As Apollo traveled, cities began to vie for his favor, honoring him with grand sculptures and songs of praise. These acts of devotion were not merely offerings of gratitude, but symbols of the divine influence Apollo imparted upon the world of mortals. His teachings left an indelible mark, turning each location into a beacon that reflected the light of the gods. The ripple effects of Apollo's journey magnified the influence of the Delphic oracle. This spiritual touchstone for seekers of truth and wisdom grew ever more prominent in his wake. The sight of pilgrims making their way to Delphi became more frequent, ensuring that Apollo's prophetic vision continued to shape the future of Greece. His involvement with the oracle solidified its status as the ultimate guide for navigating the mysteries of mortal existence. Apollo's journey was not confined to the lands of Greece alone. With an open heart, he reached out across the seas, communicating with other cultures and teaching them the wonders of prophecy and healing. His connections extended beyond traditional boundaries, creating a tapestry of understanding that bridged diverse worlds. This dance of cultures enriched his own comprehension of the divine and affirmed his role as a unifying force. The presence of Apollo was keenly felt, as mortals across the lands began to credit advancements in arts, healing, and prophesy to his grace. His influence brought about a renaissance, where the divine inspiration flowed into every sculptor's chisel, every artist's brush, and every healer's touch. The reverence for Apollo as a guiding sun illuminated paths previously shrouded in mystery, making the world brighter and more interconnected. As Apollo spread his light, he cast a gentle, persistent glow over the lands he visited. Communities were uplifted, their spirits soaring under the warmth of his knowledge and creativity. The impact of his journey was both profound and lasting, elevating mortals and deepening their connection to the divine. In each place, his presence was like the sun rising anew, bringing clarity and hope. Despite the vast expanse of his travels, Apollo felt the draw of Delos tugging at him, a reminder of his roots and the island's need for his return. He contemplated the path back, knowing that sharing his experiences would rejuvenate Delos and further solidify its importance as a sanctuary of enlightenment. His journey had expanded his influence across worlds, and as he turned back toward his birthplace, he carried the warmth of hope, poised to inspire once more. As the sun rose over the horizon, casting a warm, golden hue across the Aegean Sea, The air on Delos buzzed with eager anticipation. News that Apollo, the divine healer and oracle, was returning to the island had reached every soul, filling them with joy and expectancy. The island's residents, through their hymns and whispers, felt the sacred energy of the god's return. Even the wind carried the tales of his enlightening journey across Greece, anticipating the return of their revered deity. Leto, the gentle and persevering mother of Apollo, along with his wild and protective twin sister Artemis, prepared a grand celebration. Their preparations transcended mere festivity. They represented a deep-rooted thankfulness and an understanding of the profound changes Apollo's journeys had initiated. The sacred groves and the ancient temples of Delos were adorned with garlands, and fragrant offerings filled the air. Artemis ensured every detail reflected the importance of Apollo's homecoming, her protective instincts guiding her through the preparations. Together with Leto's nurturing presence, they wove an atmosphere that echoed with harmony and grace. As Apollo's journey concluded with his arrival, he was greeted by blooming flowers and reverent hymns sung by the island's inhabitants. His mere presence seemed to radiate a divine aura that enveloped the island, rejuvenating its land and people alike. The warmth of his golden aura intertwined with the fresh spring breeze, and Delos' sacred groves responded in kind, lighting up with newfound vitality at his approach. The greenery of the island flourished, as if celebrating Apollo's return alongside its inhabitants. In the presence of family and followers, Apollo recounted his travels. His stories were not merely tales of distant lands. They were narratives of shared wisdom, healing, and enlightenment. Each account was a testament to the proliferation of his gifts beyond Delos. His descriptions of the cities that had constructed sculptures and hymns in his honor painted a vivid picture of the extent of his influence. The listener could almost envision the cultural illumination brought about by his teachings on music and prophecy. Sacrifices and hymns reverberated throughout Delos, as inhabitants praised the enlightening ventures Apollo had undertaken. Each hymn was a reminder of the trials and triumphs of Apollo, resonating across land and spirit. The island's festive air was thick with reverence, gratitude, and continuity. It was a celebration not just of Apollo's return, but of the promise and purpose he embodied. Reaffirming his commitment to Delos, Apollo stood amidst a gathering of his kin and followers, renewing his vow to guide, heal, and inspire within his motherland. His words resonated with the divine assurance, promising the continuity of his gifts. The gentle rhythm of his voice, coupled with the harmonic ambience of chirping birds, invoked a timeless connection to both his divine and earthly roles. From this renewed vow, a sense of harmony descended upon Delos, marking the advent of a new chapter. The island basked in the light of Apollo's return, and the people sensed a resurgence of hope and assurance. This moment symbolized not merely the conclusion of Apollo's travels, but the promise of ongoing growth and illumination. Delos, now blooming with life and divine purpose, echoed with the gentle harmony of a god's return. As the celebrations gently subsided, the island was left with a lingering feeling of divine blessing and inspiration. Apollo's homecoming had not only reaffirmed his connection to Delos, but also highlighted the resilience and receptiveness of its inhabitants. It was clear that this sacred land, empowered and enlightened, would continue to be a beacon of artistic creation, healing, and prophecy, guided by Apollo's eternal light. In the soft light of a new dawn, Apollo's impact and presence on Delos promised a future bright with enlightenment and harmony. With the path ahead illuminated by his gifts, the island and its people prepared to embrace what lay beyond the horizon. As the sun began its descent over the horizon, the island of Delos basked in the warm glow of a serene summer sunset. Apollo stood upon a high point overlooking the tranquil ocean, reflecting on the journey that had brought him to this moment of divine harmony. His mind traveled back through the many experiences that had shaped his celestial path. His birth under extraordinary circumstances, the trials faced by his mother Leto, and the nurturing presence of his twin sister, Artemis. Apollo's divine journey had been marked by profound insights and revelations. He pondered the nature of prophecy, how it was not merely a gift but a responsibility, a sacred charge to illuminate the shadows of uncertainty for humanity. His time at the Oracle of Delphi had established him as a beacon of truth, guiding mortals with the light of foresight and clarity. This role, now integral to his identity, had bolstered his understanding of his divine purpose. On the Island of Delos, Apollo's achievements in the realms of art and healing were celebrated as monumental. The temples, standing as serene guardians of his legacy, spoke of the harmony that his presence had imbued into everyday life. Pilgrims traveled from distant lands, seeking solace and enlightenment in these sacred halls, moved by the echoes of his lyre and the soothing embraces of his healing touch. Under the benevolent gaze of the ever-present sun, their spiritual and bodily sufferings found remedy. Leto, watching over Delphi's proceedings with pride, recalled the trials she'd faced to bring forth her divine children. Her perseverance had been rewarded, and now she stood as a testament to the enduring power of maternal love. Together with Artemis, whose protective nature had guided and supported her brother, they formed a familial trinity that exuded unity and strength. The bonds of family enriched their lives and ensured the prosperity of Delos. Around this time every year, the Island of Delos burst into celebration, marking the divine harmony established by Apollo's gifts. Festivals and feasts brought together gods and mortals alike in joyous reverence. Music and dance, inspired by Apollo's own artistry, filled the air, while the island's natural beauty provided a perfectly harmonious backdrop. The spirit of mythic tales, woven through song and storytelling, resonated deeply with those who gathered on these sacred grounds. At the heart of these celebrations was Apollo's legacy, a divine equilibrium of art, prophecy, and healing. He stood as an exemplar of how these gifts could coexist, thrive, and elevate the human condition. His enlightenment was not just a theoretical notion, but a practical guide for improving lives, fostering growth, and nurturing the world's cultural tapestry. It was this balance, this harmonious blend of divine gifts, that ensured his eternal luminescence. Apollo's gifts reached far beyond Delos, touching countless lives across the domains where he journeyed. It was his eternal light, a nurturing force that cultivated hope and innovation, encouraging humanity's continuous growth and development. In inspiring others to elevate their understanding of the world and their pursuits within it, Apollo left an indelible mark, one that would guide civilizations for aeons to come. As the story of Apollo in this era drew to a close, the god of music, prophecy, and healing found contentment in the reflections of his divine journey. The future remained an open scroll for him to write upon, yet with each new chapter promising a deeper harmony and enlightenment. The sacred Isle of Delos, radiant in the sunset's golden embrace, stood ready to support him in this ongoing mission. With a serene smile, Apollo glanced toward the horizon, contemplating the paths yet to be explored and the melodies yet to be composed. In this timeless moment, the Isle, rich with history and possibility, whispered soft promises of what was to come. As the last rays of sunlight caressed the temples, he felt the divine affirmation of his place within the grand symphony of cosmos, assured, purposeful, and filled with wisdom.